สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีครับ
I am Chana Rotjan.
And I'm Zhenya Vashuk. We would like to welcome you all to our Meditation for Peace program. And you know, I can't believe it's so close to the rain season and rain retreat right now.
Yeah, time seems to be passing by so rapidly, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We move through the annual cycles of season and life at such a fast pace, and soon our monks will enter into the rain retreat yet again.
You know, Shana, I have to say something. My heart drops a little because I feel that I'm like not do enough of good deeds in my life. So I want to do more and more.
But time doesn't wait for any of us, Danya. We should all cultivate as much goodness as we can every day of our lives until it eventually becomes a consistent habit.
Yeah.
Then we will not have to worry about it, right?
Yeah.
Every journey needs provisions. Since we do not know when we will confront our last day in this life, we need to know how to prepare for the future.
You know, my favorite meritorious deeds during the day is meditation. And I could be doing anything through the day, but I try to make it a habit to gently bring my attention to rest conditionally at the center of the body. And I always try to find time for sitting down to meditate and position myself to find a comfortable and straight posture as I have been taught.
Yeah, many people seem to overlook the importance of the sitting posture. I mean, if we sit correctly, whatever position we may choose, it will allow us to sit still for a longer period of time.
Yeah, let me tell you a secret. In truth, the most important when you sit and try to meditate, this is your back. If your back's straight, you will get benefit 100%.
Yeah.
But if you keep yourself not straight, so you will feel sleepy and your meditation will take time to go deeper. Yeah, you know, it was time when I cannot sit in any kind of posture, just try to sit in lotus and half lotus, but no any results. Yeah, and let me tell you later the secret how to do in this way.
Okay. Well said. But let's not spend any more time discussing it. I like to act rather than talk.
Okay.
We would like to invite everyone to practice meditation together now.
By the compassion and kindness of the most venerable Lompopa Machio, the abbot of Wat Pathomaya, we will be able to learn a very natural and simple method of meditation.
Tang chai lap ta charen samadhi bhavana kan na cha. Lap ta bao bao,พอสบายสบายหลับตาเบาเบาพอสบายสบายแล้วก็ผ่อนคลายกล้ามเนื้อทุกส่วนของร่างกายของเรานั่นแหละให้มีความรู้สึกว่ามันสบายไม่มีส่วนใดส่วนหนึ่งร่างกายเราเกร็งหรือตึงนะจ๊ะต้องผ่อนคลายหลับเบาๆหลับตาสักค่อนลูกคือไม่ถึงกับปิดสนิทแล้วพอสบายๆคล้ายๆกับตอนที่เราใกล้จะหลับนะจ๊ะหลับสบายผ่อนคลายกล้ามเนื้อทุกส่วนของร่างกายเราตั้งแต่ศีรษะเลื่อยมาเลยใบหน้าศีรษะลำคอให้ผ่อนคลายบ่าไหล่แขนทั้งสองฝ่ามือถึงปลายนิ้วมือให้ผ่อนคลาย ร่างกายตั้งแต่ลำตัวสะโพกขาทั้งสองถึงปลายนิ้วเท้านะจ๊ะให้ผ่อนคลายให้หมดทั้งเนื้อทั้งตัวสำรวจตรวจตาให้ดีขยับเนื้อขยับตัวของเราให้ดีเนี่ยเลือดลมจะได้เดินได้สะดวกนะจ๊ะผ่อนคลายทุกจุดแล้วก็ทำใจของเรานะให้เบิกบานให้แจ่มชื่นให้สะอาดบริสุทธิ์ผ่องใสไร้กังวลในทุกสิ่งไม่ว่าจะเป็นเรื่องอะไรก็ตามให้ปลดให้ปล่อยให้วางทำใจให้ว่างๆไม่ผูกพันกับคนสัตว์สิ่งของใดๆทั้งสิ้นทำประหนึ่งว่าเราอยู่คนเดียวในโลกไม่เคยมีเครื่องผูกพันเลยทั้งคนทั้งสัตว์ทั้งสิ่งของธุรกิจการงานบ้านช่องการศึกษาเล่าเรียนหรือเรื่องอะไรที่นอกเหนือจากนี้นะปล่อยวางให้หมดนะจ๊ะเพราะเราก็รู้อยู่จากการศึกษาคำสอนของพระสัมมาสัมพุทธเจ้าจะเป็นสิ่งมีชีวิตหรือไม่มีชีวิตล้วนต้องผุต้องพังหมดเกิดขึ้นตั้งอยู่แล้วมันก็เสื่อมสลายหายไปทุกสิ่งล้วนไปสู่จุดสลายไม่ว่าร่างกายของเราหรือของใครเสื้อผ้าเครื่องนุ่งห่มก็ต้องไปสู่จุดสลายมันเดินทางมาจากในไร่แล้วก็เข้าสู่โรงงานมาร้านค้ามาถึงตัวเราเดี๋ยวมันก็ลงไปที่ถังขยะมันต้องผุมันต้องพังกันทั้งนั้นแหละร่างกายเราเป็นอย่างไรสิ่งห่อหุ้มร่างกายของเราที่อยู่อาศัยลดลาตึกรามบ้านช่องผู้คนแม้กระทั่งโลกใบนี้เกิดขึ้นตั้งอยู่แล้วมันก็ต้องเสื่อมสลายไปนี่คือความจริงแท้ซึ่งเราควรจะนึกสักนิดหนึ่งก่อนเรานั่งสักนาทีหรือ2 นาทีนะเพื่อใจของเราจะได้ไม่ต้องไปผูกพันกับสิ่งที่ไม่มีสาระแก่นสารมันจะได้ปลดต้องปล่อยวางเราจะช่วยทำให้เราฟุ้งน้อยจนกระทั่งมันไม่ฟุ้งมันจะปลดมันจะปล่อยมันจะวางไปเลยแล้วก็คิดว่าเราก็ต้องตายวันนี้เวลานี้เรายังมีชีวิตอยู่เรายังรักษาลมหายใจเข้าออกได้แต่พรุ่งนี้มะรืนนี้เราไม่ทราบเพราะฉะนั้นเราจะเตรียมตัวของเราอย่างไรดีเนี่ยที่เราจะมีสรณะที่พึ่งที่ระลึกที่แท้จริงได้ซึ่งตัวนี้เราได้รับทราบแล้วว่าพระรัตนตรัยเท่านั้นแหละคือที่พึ่งที่ระลึกที่แท้จริงของเรา สิ่งอื่นไม่ใช่เรายังมีความรู้อีกว่าท่านอยู่ในกลางกายของเราตรงศูนย์กลางกายฐานที่7กลางท้องเหนือสะดือขึ้นมา2 นิ้วมือแล้วก็เราก็ยังมีความรู้ว่าเราจะเข้าถึงท่านได้นั่นแหละต้องอาศัยใจเนี่ยหยุดนิ่งอยู่ที่ศูนย์กลางกายฐานที่7อย่างสบายๆต้องหยุดต้องนิ่งเพราะฉะนั้นตอนนี้เราก็นำใจเนี่ยกลับมาที่ศูนย์กลางกายฐานที่7ซึ่งเป็นจุดเริ่มต้นที่จะเข้าถึงพระรัตนตรัยในตัวเพราะฉะนั้นตอนนี้จึงอยู่ที่ว่าทำอย่างไรใจจึงจะหยุดจะนิ่งได้หยุดกับนิ่งอย่างนี้เนี่ยเราสามารถทำกันได้ทุกคนจากครั้งละ1 นาทีเนี่ยมันก็จะค่อยๆเพิ่มพูนไป2 นาที3 นาทีมันก็ขยายเวลาเพิ่มขึ้นเราได้เดินไปข้างหน้าอยู่ตลอดเวลาลุกหน้าเข้าไปเรื่อยๆก็เท่ากับว่าเราใกล้ไปสู่จุดหมายปลายทางเข้าไปเรื่อยๆเพราะนั้นเราหยุดใจไปหยุดนิ่งๆฝึกไปเรื่อยๆอย่าไปท้ออย่าไปฮึดฮัดเอาจริงเอาจังเกินไปให้ทำใจหลวมๆเหมือนเราสวมเสื้อผ้าหลวมๆกันนะประคองไปเรื่อยๆประคองใจไปภาวนาสัมมาอรหังให้มันติดไปจนกระทั่งเราเก็บเอาไปฝันอย่างนั้นตื่นหลับฝันมีแต่คำภาวนาที่มันติดไปจนกว่าจะถึงจุดที่ถึงฝั่งของสมาธิแล้วเห็นดวงใสแล้วเราก็ไม่จำเป็นต้องใช้คำภาวนาต่อไปเมื่อใจหยุดนิ่งแล้วก็ดิ่งเข้าไปสู่ภายในตกศูนย์ดวงธรรมลอยขึ้นมาบังเกิดขึ้นในศูนย์กลางกายฐานที่7เราได้สัมผัสความสุขที่แท้จริงที่มาพร้อมกับดวงธรรมนั้นพอถึงตรงนี้ก็ให้รักษาเอาไว้ให้ดีให้ยิ่งกว่าการรักษาชีวิตอย่าชะล่าใจว่าเราจะทำเมื่อไหร่ก็ได้มันไม่ง่ายขนาดนั้นนะจ๊ะแม้เราเคยเข้าถึงและสิ่งนี้มีอยู่ในตัวก็ตามเพราะว่าทันทีที่เราประมาทชะล่าใจไม่ทำให้ต่อเนื่องใจก็จะถูกดึงไปพัวพันกับสิ่งที่ทำให้ใจเราหยาบขุ่นมัวฟุ้งซ่านอย่างนี้ไปเรื่อยๆเพราะฉะนั้นพอเรามานั่งเพราะเริ่มจะมีอารมณ์อยากจะนั่งอีกตอนนี้เราก็จะอยากได้ประสบการณ์เก่าๆที่เราเคยได้แต่ความอยากตอนนี้มันจะรุนแรงจนกระทั่งกลายเป็นความลุ้นเร่งเพ่งและก็จ้องซึ่งพอความรู้สึกนี้เกิดขึ้นลมมันก็หยาบลมในตัวกายก็หยาบใจก็หยาบพอใจหยาบมันก็ไปสู่ที่ละเอียดไม่ได้ดวงธรรมใสๆนั่นเป็นของละเอียดเมื่อเครื่องทรงกับเครื่องรับเนี่ยมันมีความละเอียดไม่เท่ากันอายตนะมันไม่ตรงกัน มันก็ไปถึงไม่ได้อันนี้แหละคือสิ่งที่ผู้ที่ชราใจจะได้รับถ้าเคยได้แล้วก็ปล่อยปละละเลยไม่ทำต่อมันเหมือนเป็นการลงทันกับตัวเราเองเนี่ยโดยความทุกข์ทรมานว่าสิ่งที่เราเคยได้และเข้าถึงแล้วทำไมเราไม่ได้อีกทั้งที่สิ่งนั้นก็ยังมีอยู่ที่เดิมและพร้อมที่จะให้เราเห็นได้ตลอดเวลานี่เพราะความประมาทและชราใจสำหรับผู้ที่เคยเข้าถึงแล้วนะเพราะฉะนั้นถ้าเราเข้าถึงแล้วก็ต้องหวงแหนเอาไว้รักษาเอาไว้โดยการทำใจหยุดนิ่งดูไปเรื่อยๆทั้งหลับตาลืมตาในทุกอิริยาบถและทุกกิจกรรมไม่ว่าจะครองเรือนออกกำลังกายทำมาหากินศึกษาเล่าเรียนหรือทำอะไรก็แล้วแต่แล้วก็ตรึกไปในสุดมันก็จะติดเป็นอัตโนมัติอาจจะภาวนาสัมมาอรหังสัมมาอรหังเรื่อยไปหรือจะไม่ภาวนาก็แล้วแต่ใจเราสมัครเอานะจ๊ะสมัครใจอย่างไรก็เอาอย่างนั้นเราลองทำกันดูผ่อนคลายใจนิ่งนุ่มเบาๆสบายฝึกกันไปนะจ๊ะ
For me, that makes meditation even better. It is to softly close the eyes and behold an inner light that is a natural part of ourselves. It is a guiding light for us to use in walking along the path of righteousness.
Very true. The art of meditation softens and nurtures our minds. When we practice it regularly, good things will naturally flow into our lives as a result of being attracted to our bright and supple state of mind. I never cease to be amazed at how true that statement really is.
You know, one can only speak from their experience, Shana.
True.
If you never walk down the Red Square in Russia,
Which I haven't.
sure, you will never know how beautiful and sublime it is. Yes, in all my travels, nothing is more beautiful as a bright mind. And when we practice that, can travel with us everywhere we go.
Yes.
I'm always amazed at how regular practice of meditation gives such a large amount of benefits. Unfortunately, our segment today doesn't have enough time for me to spend in convincing you.
That's okay. Everyone has to see it for themselves in order to really believe, I think. Otherwise, our wisdom has no true foundation. But maybe you can talk about that next time when we have more time.
It's better.
Okay. For now, let us meet our guest, Venerable Sanup, the president of a Korean project called People Sharing Happiness.
Let's give a warm and humble welcome to our venerable brother.
Swadika, welcome to Meditation for Peace program. Today is very special day that we have Venerable Sanup from People Sharing Happiness from Korea to share with us in this program. Venerable Sanup is one of the most important active monks who involved in youth development in Korea. He has spent time in this program over 20 years. He will share with us the knowledge of the youth development program in Korea. Let's have a warm welcome to Venerable Sanup. Namaskar, Venerable.
안녕하세요. 안녕하세요. 반갑습니다. That means hello.
Okay, Venerable, could you please maybe introduce yourself a bit to our viewers to get to know you better?
My Dharma name is Sun Up. That means, a sun is rising. That stands for our mind is kind of the Buddha. So I have Buddha nature. So this time, the power, inner power is shining to others. So my teacher gave me this really great name,
I agree with that. It's a very great name. The sun is rising.
Thank you.
That's why you're rising to the heart of the youth in Korea right now.
I think so. That's why youth people in Korea, they like my character, like this. Sun is always rising. Even though, the darkness is near here in this place, so that's why they didn't see anything. But the sun is always up there, like that.
Yeah, the sun is always there.
Yeah, always
Great.
there. Always up there.
We have to keep looking at the sun. And I heard you have experience in the youth development that what you involved with for over 20 years. Is that a program that you are president of the People Sharing Happiness?
Right,
Is that
right.
a program that is for the youth development?
Of course. Nowadays in Korea, we are in difficult situation because of the other religions, especially Christianity. They are kind of aggressive, and also they've got plenty of money, and also they've got lots of programs for youth people. But in the case of Buddhism in Korea, we got lots of great assets, tradition or really great temples. But we didn't have, programs for youth people, but for old people. That means we got lots of great, traditional ways and skills to develop ourselves, our inner power. But that's just for old people. But youth people, they want to know, their ways. That means, they need program for themselves. So that's why, I add some more programs. Originality in Buddhism is same, as the same. But I add some more techniques. And then I made, PSH, People Sharing Happiness. Youth people, they want to share their opinions with their parents, and also they want to do something for their society, but they didn't have enough chance. And also people, especially because of a generation gap, old people just suppressed. Please don't do that. That's not that much good idea like that. So that's why they wanna, enshrine. That means shine themselves to others. But because of generation gap, they didn't do that. So that's why I prepared some programs, and then they started to show and then share their ideas. That is the People Sharing Happiness. And
That's the name comes from.
yes, of course. And also, for example, I prepared this kind of program. There are lots of Buddhist texts, but in Korea, written by old Chinese characters. So that's not for young people. In Korea, young people just read just Korean, not Chinese characters. So that's why I translated old Chinese character version to modern Korean language version. And then we'll share. That means reading books first, and then sharing the opinions about that one, and then move out to the society and share that idea to others. That's what I prepared for youth people. After that, many people were interested in this kind of project and activity.
Yes.
And then I can gather some people, you know. That is also People Sharing Happiness Club.
Yes, and the time you start like last 20 years, and you have, maybe could you tell us the progress of during that time until this present? You find any challenging things during development of this program?
Oh, sometimes, you know, there's some misunderstanding because this skill was from Western countries, like that. Some people ask like that. But I don't think so. For example, there's a Zen or Sun meditation. We call this one, we'll translate this one, meditation. There are lots of meditation techniques. In Korea, we are using Zen style, or in Korean, Sun style meditation. We have been using the great question, such as, who are you, or who am I? That is really great question. But young people thought it's too boring. You know, who am I? I'm a student, that's all. Not like that. Who am I means, you know, you have to find out your inner power like that. So I started to, you know, change the questions. What do you want? What do you need? How do you feel? What do you think? No, after that they could understand my idea and the meaning of what I said. You know? So now I'm giving the question to youth people. Please, you have to start your need. You have to find out your need first. And then you can find out yourself, your inner power like that. So nowadays our members start to ask, you know, themselves this question: what do I need? You know, that is, I think, really great idea to get them into the Buddhist society and Buddhist club.
Yes. And because a lot of things that you do for the youth now, on how do they take it? They take it and they have to keep practicing at their home. They take it back to share with their parents too.
So I think we have to, we can divide it into 4 sections to know themselves, you know. At first, we have to know ourselves first. That means we have to know identification first. So I and others, we can divide into 4 sections. I and others. Next one is inside and outside. So inside I means identification, and inside others means, you know, plot or pattern, the way of thinking, you know, like that, or how to accept others' opinion like that. And outside I is kind of, you know, tradition, you know, tradition, family tradition like that. And also outside others is the structure of society, system, you know. So I teach them, you know, please, you have to know 4 sections, and then you can find yourself, you know. So that is the basic way to, you know, let them know themselves. That's basic teaching skill.
Mm-hmm. And for what they learn, just to know who they are and what do they want in life. And also you mentioned that practicing meditation, right? How they like it? What part of the program they like it the most?
Mostly, you know, reading book.
Reading the book?
Yes, because it's
about Dhamma
really,
book?
Dhamma book. It's really, really simple. Because I suggest them or recommend them to read really easy book first. Easy book. translated in Korean. And we really showed an easy Dhamma book. So, and also I give some more, I add some more skills. For example, there's a book like this, read. And then write their feelings after reading. I thought this one. And also, which line is good for you? Which line is bad for you? Which line was impressive? And then they, give us the answer. And then that is kind of reaction, and feedback.
Yes.
Back and forth. And also the others who joined that class suggest their ideas. And then it takes around 1 hour or sometimes 2 hours. And then they felt something special. Dhamma book is really, really great for me, like that. Dhamma is not far from ourselves. Dhamma is here. Dhamma is right now. Dhamma is good for me in this place. Like that.
Okay, is Dhamma is not a boring
Mm-hmm.
thing.
Dhamma
is very
is here in
interesting.
this place. Interesting thing.
Yes, and most of them, I think, like that. Most of them we very enjoy to join the program. How many percent of the youth in Korea join this program? Do you have any number, just roughly?
Shana, not only is the Venerable Brother the president of People Sharing Happiness, he is also the vice president of the World Fellowship of Buddhist Youth.
Yes. The Venerable Brother's name is so appropriate, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
Dhamma is commonly compared to the golden light of the sun, as it brings forth brightness and growth to everyone who is touched by it.
Yeah. Wherever darkness lies, when the light of Dharma is present, its brightness automatically dispels it.
Yeah, I admire how our Venerable Brother freely shares his knowledge with others. He translates books on Dhamma into Korean language, so his own people may be able to have more understanding of the principles of life and use them in their everyday existence.
Yeah. After listening to the Venerable, I can see how blessed the Korean youth and with an open and easy to share heart, they gently seem to want to contribute to society.
Agree. But everyone needs to develop themselves to be self-disciplined and support others in the right ways. By this method, they will gain confidence in the doing of good deeds and continue to perform them.
After all, the youth are our future.
Yes, and as you know, Janya, the best good deed that we can do for ourselves is meditation. Yet, apart from that, listening to Dhamma also helps us keep our minds surrounded in wholesomeness.
I know why you are saying that, It's time to listen to our Venerable Pra Nicholas Tanisaro teaching, right?
Right. And today, he will continue last week's topic concerning the Akanya Sutta.
But this was not the case for the two previous Brahmins, Vaseta and Bharatavaja. Once they became monks, they were teased by their colleagues who had not become monks, saying, "Oh, you've let us down. It's beneath your dignity to be mixing with these people from other castes. Didn't you know that we are superior?" Why? Because if you're a king, so if you come from the kingly caste, we originated from the head of Brahma, the creator God. If you are a priest, you came from the mouth of the Creator God. If you were a merchant, you came from the hands of the Creator God. And if you are a manual worker, then you came from the feet of the Creator God. So these sort of superstitions, you might say, were deeply ingrained in the self-understanding of many of the monks who were joining the ranks of Buddhist monasticism. And because these two particular monks were feeling rather, you might say, discouraged by their decision to have become a monk, then the Buddha gave this Aganya Sutta to them to explain what was their true origins, so that they could get on with their practice better and they could forget about the superstitions in their past. So, in an indirect way, the Buddha ended up explaining where we came from, but not for the reason of creating philosophy for people to debate about, but simply to give encouragement to these monks who were burdened under their previous set of beliefs. So, we come to what is known as the Aganya Sutta, which tells us about a time in very ancient history. And before I go on, I might mention that you can take this as a legend, if you like, or you can take it as a historical explanation. It's up to you, okay? Because the sort of evidence which we have for times in such deep history are very tenuous anyway. Okay, so normally when we talk about ancient history, we think about, let's say, fossils, okay? Fossil records explaining about when the Earth started and so on. But what we're talking about, the sort of ages we're talking about here, are history which goes back beyond the start of our own planet. Okay, so you don't need to go looking for fossils to explain this one, because even a planet where the fossils would be laid down wasn't there at the time. So we are talking about something which the Buddha would have learned from his own meditation rather than looking at scientific records. The Buddha talked about a time when the universe was in a very different state than it is in the present day. And you could say it was a time between world cycles when there was not yet any life on our planet Earth. Our planet Earth did exist, but it had been newly burned out after having gone through a cycle which had culminated in the Earth going up in flames, burning for a long time, and then eventually extinguishing by waters across the surface of the Earth. Was there any life left in the universe? Indeed there was, but the only life there was in the form of beings which lived in realms much higher than physical realms. They were known as Apasara Brahmas, or godlike beings, and they may have had an appearance rather similar to this particular being. Beings which basically were made of had ethereal bodies. They didn't have a physical body. They were self-luminous, and in fact the light inside those beings was the only light in the universe at that time, because there was no sun or moon or stars, day or night. So the only light in the universe were these luminous beings wafting around. They didn't need to eat anything because they were nourished by their own happiness, which had arisen from all the meditation they'd done in their previous lifetime as a human being. They were very long-lived. They weren't distinguished by gender because they were above such things. So they had no gender features. And they spent their time wafting around in the universe, generally surviving off their own happiness. And as they wafted around, they came across the newly formed earth, which perhaps you can imagine being like a loaf of bread which had recently come out of the oven with a very tasty smelling crust to it. And because the earth had been on fire for many years, then the earth was just like that. On the surface of the earth actually was quite aromatic. And floating on the surface of the seas was something which we refer to as curds of earth. Now, Apasara Brahmas didn't really need to eat anything, but they were attracted, they were tempted by the tasty smell of this curds of earth floating on the surface of the waters. And one of them couldn't resist the temptation to stoop down and to pick up some of the curds of earth and taste it. Now, you might ask, what created the universe? In this particular explanation, there wasn't some mysterious being which came along and magicked the universe into being. But what happened was, as a result of this giving in to temptation, this greed and curiosity on behalf of one particular Apasara Brahma, the whole of the universe started to be set in motion. Why? Because the quality of mind had diminished a certain amount. Yes, go on. They can be enlightened, but generally speaking, they don't bother coming to the human world. They could meditate instead of wafting around the universe until they became completely free of defilements and then enter upon nirvana.
But no chance of that coming on celestial?
They could do, but this is really an exceptional case which is being described here. So, not because of some being, but because of a diminishing in the quality of mind of the Apasara Brahmas, did the environment start to change. So what we see here is really a very concrete example of the saying of the Buddha that the mind is the leader of all things. The mind is always the first, the prime mover. You have read this in the first verses of the Dhammapada. Because of the mind diminishing in quality, a whole series of changes came about, not only for that particular being, but for the environment of where the being was living as well. Because in Buddhism we make connections between state of mind, state of life, and state of environment. Yes?
In your opinion, is the eye of Ra the first base of the mind in relation to the pharaohs of Egypt, the eye of Ra, but I've read texts to do like the eye in the sky, like people talk of Judgment Day. There's the eye that can see thoughts, the eye that can see actions, and the eye at the top of the pyramid on the American $1 note. But the first the I and the mind have the first connection. It's not a dazzle. It's not. Every human being can relate to the I because they have their own I and their own mind.
I think hear me out first, okay? I explain the whole of this, and then we come back to your question, because I think I need to finish telling you about this before you can see how very different it is to the normal ideas of creation myths, okay? So, this being gives in to his own curiosity, starts to taste food from the surface of the earth, and as a result of that, there is a chain reaction set up in the universe by which night and day starts, by which the stars, moon and sun appear. Okay? Not because of some being, but because of the actions of a particular being who succumbed to their own temptations, thereby reducing the quality of their own mind. This being was not alone, but once one being started, then all the others in the same group of oppressors started to do the same thing. They started to taste the curds floating on the surface of the water until there were no such curds left anymore. At the time when that happened, then some very distinct changes started to happen within the bodies of those Apastara Brahmas, where before they had been quite self-luminous. They started, the ones who had eaten more of the curds of earth started to become more dark in their complexion. And the second major impurity started to occur in the mind of those beings, which was that the ones who had a brighter complexion looked down on the ones which had a darker complexion. So, from the initial impurity in the mind of succumbing to temptation or maybe greed or desire, a second impurity was added to that, which is the impurity of basically racial discrimination. Discrimination on the basis of appearance. Okay?
To be honest, I never really enjoyed thinking that I'm a relative of an ape. And I can now express my belief that the strongest people of survival is the one who have dharma in themselves.
Yes. Delusion is a very dangerous thing, Janya.
Yeah.
If we think about it, none of us want to be deluded or ignorant of the truth. Both of those mental impurities lead us to disaster and unwholesome conduct.
Mind is the master of all things, and most importantly, our actions.
Yes, and our actions, whether right or wrong, depend upon the state that our mind is in at that time. If we want to cultivate goodness and truly help those around us, the mental strength resulting from a mind silence within the center of our body provides the power to prevent us from getting lost along our path to perfection.
I agree with you. If we are to make decisions in difficult situations, we need an instrument that gives us the best decision-making capability available and will also complement the knowledge we have already accumulated so far. Meditation provides that option.
Meditation makes us optimistic, yet most importantly, realistic.
Yeah.
It is not something that is just psychedelic, but meditation makes our minds free from worries and fears. I could go on forever about meditation. I think it's the only thing that makes me understand who I really am.
Yeah.
But for now, let's get back to our program.
Okay.
To be a leader of men is to understand the cycle of life as it rises and falls. To be a man of wisdom is to know how to find happiness while enduring the vicissitudes of existence. And to be a man of courage is to learn about the safest place on earth. Once in a man's life, he can become a Buddhist monk. As we pass through our lives, we walk without knowing the hidden face of tomorrow. We do not know whether happiness or sorrow will come. Walking hand in hand with time, illusion and desire pile up higher and higher. Politics, technology, merchandise, even academic education and medical treatment all epitomize the endless needs and desires that become essential requirements in our lives. To resist the powerful pull of our desires requires stripping away life's luxuries so that we can see our most basic need, the miraculous breath we take to maintain our existence. Let us return to our real needs and the true path to a life of contentment. But the world treasures man, the male, as the global leader. Thus, men are given the responsibility to become learned and wise so they can rule a bly. As it is said in Buddhism, young man, get ready and be full of courage before stepping into the battlefield of life's vicissitudes. The Buddhist ordination, when a man becomes a monk, is required by Buddhist belief and represents the most important chapter in every man's life.
I think it's a very touchy subject for me as well, Jenya, because I feel that men are so lucky to be able to wear that same simple robes that the Lord Buddha did. I feel sorry for anyone who misses out on the chance. It's not an easy thing to be a monk, but I have always admired how noble and majestic true monks are. We can all live the inner life of the monk when we diligently follow the teachings of the Lord Buddha. It is a delightful scene to witness. The life of a monk is reserved for those with a special duty to leave behind the worldly life in search of the ultimate truth of the world, which is universal and applies to all equally.
It is then their duty to maintain those truth and existence so that everyone may benefit from them for generation to come. I would like to permission to rejoice in all of the good deeds which my venerable brothers have done, especially their ordination in the Motanam.
And just like the video said, ordination is the greatest reward that men can receive for their lives.
It is also a very honorable way of giving appreciation and goodness back to our parents for having raised up us and given us a chance to pursue perfection further.
Thailand is truly a fortunate place. The men can choose to ordain at any time and leave when they feel it is necessary. And then, when they feel more prepared, they may enter again into the humble monastic robes. In this way, Thailand is unlike most other Buddhist countries.
Yeah. I really feel that the life of the monks is the best kind of life in the world, especially for those who have decided to spend the rest of their lives in it. It is the way of out of suffering, and one may dedicate their lives toward experiencing firsthand the truth that the Lord Buddha discovered over 2,500 years ago.
That is what we like to refer to as ordained on multiple levels.
It is such a powerful emotion to be ordained, and I cherished every moment of it, especially after seeing how time is limited in our life.
Yes.
We learn how to live life making the biggest benefit for even the smallest effort. And as I myself have tasted the monastic life, I would like to invite all our gentlemen viewers to consider giving it a try. Give yourself the best reward which life has to offer.
Oh, I was really trying to avoid this moment, Jenya.
What is that, Shanna?
Well, it's the one where we need to say goodbye to our dear viewers.
Oh, come on, don't try, Shanna. We will see our dear viewers again next week.
Okay then. Well, I suppose we'll instead say, see you all again next week.
Please feel free to send your comments and questions to our web address at www.meditationforpeace.info.
For today, สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีครับ